Hello everybody, I am Professor M-07 from the Department of Textiles and Clothing, Avannachalamangam University. Today we will be seeing review of literature and documentation under the paper Research Methodology. Now we shall see the introduction. The purpose of any research work is to help mankind to live a better life. These type of researches in turn are based on review of literature. One can become aware of what is already there and what is needed only through reading suitable documents like journals, research papers, articles and books related to the type of research he is planning to work on. If one has to identify a suitable problem, first he must read about the origin of the problem, its causes, advantages, drawbacks and related facts. For example, if one is keen on manufacturing a new set of bulbs which can operate on wireless mode, he should understand the history of bulb, the method of making it, advantages and disadvantages of each type of bulb, which is possible only through reading in a critical manner. Hence, review of literature is very important. The review lays the foundation for any research and innovation. Review means review or overview, which indicates look again. Review of literature means reading and noting relevant documents for the base of any research. When one has a clear review, then his work can be carried out smoothly. Now we shall see the objectives of this module. At the end of this session, the learner will be able to understand the significant role of review of literature in researches, identify the various types of review of literature and their uses, also learn the techniques of writing a review of literature, rather documentation. Now we shall see the definition for review of literature. Review of literature is a compilation of facts related to a particular topic. It is to a common man reading a text from a book, journal or magazine to know about a specific fact or subject. But to an academician, scientist or research scholar, it is reading a text from the above mentioned sources along with scholarly papers, articles which will be a part of the past and current information, related studies, supporting findings, theoretical and methodological contributions to a particular topic, relevant descriptions, summary and critical evaluation about the fact or problem to which he is to research. It can also include information from designations, conference proceedings, book of papers, pamphlets, brochures, leaflets. In a nutshell, review of literature is well-designed descriptive prose which can be subdivided into topics with periodical summaries and discussion. In the words of Dr. Werg, review of literature is described as the review of literature is often divided into a well-designed connecting sentences. Documentation is the writing of the review facts in a systematical manner which vary based on the readable material like journals, articles and research theses. Now we shall see review of literature. Review of literature is grouping of data which already exists to gain knowledge, hence readily known as secondary data. It does not have any original data but collected from base or any postgraduate thesis, designation or project. It can also be described as collection of published data documented properly for future use towards a relevant topic. It can even include sequence of definition, key terms and terminology which are in par with the related topic. It helps to identify and become acquainted with academicians, scientists and other researchers in the same field. Since most of the articles or research paper come with the name of the author, his or her address, email, ID, it is easy to contact them and take a piece of advice or suggestion. Generally, review is carried out in a systematic way since it has to be recorded, analyzed and examined. It also acts as a guide for future work and understand the weakness and strength of the selected topic. Now we shall see the purpose of writing a review of literature. The main purpose is to display the value of research, search for useful data and sources, collect ways of conducting researches like identifying labs and institutions where research can be carried out, give perspective, background and depth to the research, describe the writing methodology, design the rational or theoretical base, create awareness of the existing research, provide a rational concept, understand theoretical base factors, quote references, make constructive comments, understand the conflict points, and assess the evaluated results. Now we shall see the guidelines of review of literature to be collected and documentation. This can consist of several steps. We shall see one by one. The first step is selection of research topic. The most important in any research is to finalize the research topic. Since it will be too early to note the minute details or problems of any research, one can begin with choosing a broad area of research or where a problem exists to work as a research. This broad area can be narrowed down based on identification of real research problem through review and pilot study and finalize the selected topic. The next step is select the style to follow for review writing. Once your topic is selected, it is necessary to find the correct format for writing it. Review of literature, as mentioned before, is a secondary data, rather a collection of information which exists already. Therefore, proper importance to source or author who has worked has to be mentioned in the write-up. In a nutshell, each fact or point in the review of literature has to be cited with an author. Citation is giving credit to the person or source from where the information is taken, which is done by mentioning the name of the author, date, source of the information, which includes name of the journal, volume, year and month of the publication, title of the paper, or giving the digital object identification in case of net reference. There are different methods of writing this information. The most common styles used are shown below. This is based upon the subjects. The first style is American Psychological Association style, which includes education, psychology and science subjects. The next one is Modern Language Association style, which is followed by studies in humanities. The next style is American Medical Association style, wherein medical, health and biological studies are quoted. The other type is Chicago. This is a common style used in everyday publications like magazines, newspapers, books. Apart, business studies, history and fine arts also follow this style. The final style, which is commonly used, is Turban. It is followed universally across the globe for all types of subjects and disciplines. Each of these styles mentioned have their own guidelines for documentation like font, margin, spacing, title page, abstract, body, text citation and quotations. but still all the styles have the information like author's name, address, title, source, year, date, place of publication. Some styles even mention the type of paper to be used, the page number from where the facts are noted. If the facts are from websites, then the URL is also mentioned. The next step to be followed is categorizing the review of literature. After selecting the topic and style to be followed, the real review of literature starts, wherein one establishes reviewing rather reading the articles. The researcher must become familiar with the relevant database, search engines, libraries and institutions from where data can be collected. The broad area must be subdivided into small classes or groups with small side headings which are related to the broad area. The subheadings may start with general information, past studies, problems faced, the merits and demerits. Example, when one takes a broad area of natural dyeing, the subgroups created can be origin, history, growth, need, advantages and disadvantages of natural dyes, their sources, methods of extraction, application techniques and properties. This information can further be narrowed down to a specific topic. The validity for collection and documentation of review of literature can be confirmed by assuring and inclusive of classical studies and theories, which in turn will provide the framework for actual research. Then one has to create a record box to pool all the review read under the subheadings listed. Maintain a checklist to check and to track and to know the matter which you have read and collected. This will enlarge your knowledge. You can also create a method of maintaining the references and footnotes. These days, with electronic devices, e-libraries and online journals, maintenance and recovery of review collected has become very easy. While reviewing, check the following points for each reference, article or book. These points are: does the article or paper have well-defined problem? Does the problem signify related subjects and economy as a whole? Is the scope clearly established? Could the problem have approached more effectively from other authors? What does the paper article orient? What is the framework of the paper or article? The relation between research perspectives and established facts. Evaluate the literature relevant to the problem and issues. Does the content talk about the pros and cons of the problem? Are the base components of the study designed, defined, or properly stated? How accurate and valid are the results? What is the accuracy of data and language? What are the strengths and limitations of the article or paper? What is the relation of the article, paper to the topic which you would like to work on? Next, we shall see the fourth step, which is literature explosion. Reading articles does not mean just noting down points or copying some results or experimental procedure. One has to understand the meaning and get an overview of the article. The material viewed should be pooled under each subheading, which should be later analyzed critically, like noting down important quotations, formulas, key terms, key statistics, major trends, identify gaps in the literature, looking for the relation among the studies, assess your references for value and in-depth knowledge. The critical reading should be focused towards your topic. By the end of this, the researcher must be in a position to narrow down to his research topic and methods and materials needed. Example, the sources for natural dyes, the method of extraction and application can be finalized. The next step is selection of type of review. There are different types of review of literature. One has to finalize the type of review actually needed. They can be selected maybe based upon the type of publication, like whether the information is from thesis or journal, apart the guide in case of designation and the type of research, but in reality a combination of types may also be followed. Some of the common types of review are featured as given in the table. Narrative review. The main feature of this is it describes the research and related subjects. Next type of research is critical review, which examines, compares and evaluates the results. The next type is scoping review, which highlights the gap in the review of literature and explains the need for research. The next one is conceptual review, which determines in great understanding. The next one is state of art review, which focuses upon the recent researches. The next one is argumental review, wherein the literature to be supported is refused or argued upon. The next one is integrative review, which includes studies related to identified hypotheses. The next one is historical review, which examines research throughout a period of time. The next type of review is methodological review, which focuses on what someone has said or how it is said. Next one is systematic review. Herein, well-defined standardized method is identified and followed for collection, reporting and analysis of data. The last type of review is theoretical review, which examines the theory and accumulate the issues, concepts for further use. The next step in writing a review of literature is review sum up. After analyzing the literature, it can be summed up in a form of a table or flowchart. The result is better understood in this manner. This can also include key terms, definitions and procedures. Herein a flowchart is given wherein the main concept is dyeing, and under dyeing we have selection of sources, which includes selection of raw materials like dyes and fabric. Under dyes we can select natural dye and synthetic dye, wherein the study can establish a comparison between both. Under selection of fabric, we can select different types of fabrics or blend. In this example, I have quoted silk. Now we shall move on to the next step, reviewing a literature. This is synthesizing the literature. Using the points noted down and making the table helps one to outline the review, that is to decide on what has to be noted under each subheading. For each of the subheadings, an introduction, purpose, key concept, relevant theories, individual studies related to an advanced theory is noted and assembled. Go through each point and rewrite, giving importance to focus your research. One should avoid general statements, long, non-specific details, replica sentences and facts. The arrangements can follow a specific matter like importance based on the weightage of the facts or based on the years. The individual has the freedom to choose his style of ordering the information unless and until he is requested to follow a pattern by the editor in case of journal publication or guide in case of thesis or dissertation. Example: broad area can be natural dyes. The topic which is narrowed down can be efficacy of dyeing silk with selected household waste. The next step will be selection of raw materials. Fabric, silk can be selected. The subheadings which will be noted as origin, history, property, manufacturing processes, recent studies and statistics. The other raw material will be source for dye, which is household waste, which also can be defined, types, uses and properties. Under this, we can select two types of household waste, which is beetroot and used tea dust waste. This can be subdivided like description, properties, use and color content. The next subdivision can be extraction methods, wherein different types of extraction methods like boiling and filtering, microwave can be selected. Under this also we can have subdivisions like description, procedure, advantages and disadvantages of the methods. The next one will be application technique. This calls for how dye extracted is applied onto the fabric. There are different methods like dip and dry method, padding mangle, spray drying method. These methods also can be subdivided like description, procedure and its advantages. The next subheading which could be related to the study is testing the efficacy of the dyed fabrics, which includes mechanical properties like strength, weight, thickness, abrasion and drape. Apart from that, comfort properties like wettability, perspiration, moisture regain and absorption can be also noted. Since the topic is related to dyeing, color fastness is one of the major aspects to be evaluated. Under color fastness properties, fastness to sunlight, washing, crocking, wet and dry pressing can be noted. Apart from all this, any data is valid only with statistical analysis. So, we can have a subdivision as statistical analysis, which will be used like mean, standard deviation, correlation, t-test, f-test can be subdivided and described. Now, we shall go to the next step of reviewing and documentation. This is build up a logic review write-up. Once the review of literature is ready, read every bit and check its logic concept. See if there is cohesiveness between the statements, integrity between the details and flow of the compilation. Finish with the conclusion. Tips for review of literature. Review should not be too long. Use subheadings. Use transitions if necessary. Aim a clear and cohesive write-up. Points to remember while reviewing literature are particular review that will help in describing the research problem. What type of literature review is needed for the support of your research? Scope of the review of literature. What type of publication is reviewed? What discipline is worked upon? Information seeking technique followed. Was the research being wide enough to ensure all the required data? Was the review focused upon inclusive, irrelevant material? Is the quantity of literature reviewed sufficient for paper to be prepared? Was the literature critically analyzed? Was the discussion of relevant studies, bar or not, to the perspective of the research. Is the literature reviewed relevant, appropriate, and used for the researchers? Will the review lay a road for future research? Now we shall sum up with this module. To sum up, a literature review must be organized around a focal point of interest of research work. It should synthesize results in a critical summary of known and unknown facts. The review of literature enlarges your knowledge about the topic. At the same time, it increases one's information seeking method and ability to apply principles of analysis to identify unbiased and valid studies. In short, when one has to review about a flower, he should not describe the plant, but in turn create a new concept about the flower, which is true collection about the flower based upon the wholesome reading. To conclude, if a review of literature is carried out in a proper systematic manner, then the validity of the study is also ensured. Thank you.